Andrew,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to peel the curtain back for the vigilant listener of the Snart and Marks podcast. We are recording this the upcoming week of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is on Thursday.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of this and that, a lot of conversation, a lot of what do people do for Thanksgiving. What is your ideal Thanksgiving meal? What's the ideal Thanksgiving meal?
Oh shit.
I want your sides.
Probably In and Out.
just in and out.
We had this discussion last week. It's definitely not a Western bacon cheeseburger. By the way, quality control issues. I went and got one. We didn't talk about this on the podcast. That's one thing that In and Out has over it. Anyway.
I admitted, like, they're very good at making the 8 things they make. Like you'll never
you can give them the most
up.
intricate fucking order in Japanese and they're gonna get everything right. Anyway. Turkey is just not that good, isn't it? Like, it's just not that good.
Turkey is I would put highly on the overrated list. I'll give me ham every time.
I would prefer ham. Ham's not in my like if you ask me, like, hey, we're gonna have a really nice meal, what kind of meat do you want? Right. I'm definitely not saying turkey, and I'm definitely not saying ham, but for some reason we got to eat that shit on Thanksgiving. So I'll come back to the meat because I gotta figure out what I want to do for the meat. You gotta have dressing or stuffing or whatever you call it, right?
Yeah. Do you like it church? I like a treat, as we've discussed.
You do like a treat, yeah.
Do you like the church stuffing that has like meat in it, or are you just good with tradish?
I'm good with just straight up stuffing, bro. It's good. It's the only thing with celery that I don't mind the celery in, because I fucking hate celery. And then some actual homemade cranberry sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Not like from the can, but from the can tastes good too. So I'm not like shitting on from the can.
Cranberry sauce is one of those other things where it's like the whole cranberry sauce must survive solely on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah,
right?
100%.
Like, it's a cottage industry for 1 week of the year.
They sell so much of that shit on Thanksgiving, you know?
Yeah.
So cranberry sauce. Oh, you know what I like? I like a green bean casserole. So I'll take one of those. I'm a big casserole guy. So I like green bean casserole. My mom used to make this thing called broccoli rice casserole that my sister makes now every year. I like a potato casserole. Anything with potatoes, so like scalloped potatoes or any of that shit, are a must-have on Thanksgiving for old Andrew. So I mean, I could skip the meat and just have all these casseroles.
Yeah, you're just loaded up on carbs, dude.
Man. Oh yeah, I'm gonna die. So, and then so I'm pretty conventional, you know, because nobody likes turkey. Like, it's not like I'm having some hot take. Turkey's not a good meat. Every year, everybody's like, yeah, you know, this is what we got to do. But even though this is fucking a tasteless bird,
I've had good turkey, but it's like it's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, I've had good turkey too. It's not as good as like a good beef.
No. It's definitely falling down. Like, I've went to a couple of Thanksgivings with people where like they've completely gone away from the turkey and the ham, and they'll just like get a prime rib. And that, if you can get it, is that's the winner every single time. Yeah.
I've had people who like deep fried the turkey, and that's fine. It seems a little like, let's get something else. But turkey's like really every turkey that you have is the shittiest chicken you've ever eaten.
Right. Yeah. Well, and people are like, it's so long to cook it, and they're like, you got to keep basting it and whatever. It's like, for all that work, can't we just throw them out? Like, couldn't we have, like, if I got to do all this shit? It's the same as a person who doesn't drink coffee. I have one coffee take, which is like, if you don't like black coffee, then you don't enjoy coffee. You like to put shit in the coffee that makes it taste good,
which would be on brand for you.
Right, if I liked the taste of coffee at all, which I don't like the taste of coffee. But like, if you have to do all this shit to turkey so that it doesn't become dry, inedible, like paper in your mouth.
Yeah.
Maybe just throw them out. Who
You
cares?
know what? I've figured it out. I want carne asada. I want all the casseroles and still with the cranberry sauce with carne asada.
Yeah. That's really, I mean, because like they didn't have turkey at the first Thanksgiving. That's a lie from the man, you know, like
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're past the first Thanksgiving. Like, I understand that like a lot of people get mad about Thanksgiving because we liken it to like the Pilgrims and the Indians, like Native Americans, sorry, eating like and making friends and like being thankful for each other, even though they're slaughtering each other and shit. Let's be real. The Americans did most of the slaughtering, but it's not that anymore. How about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I never think of the Indians and Pilgrims when I'm sitting down with my family.
We should rebrand Thanksgiving to just, hey, bring your fastball. Whatever the best shit you make is, bring that on Thanksgiving.
Totally on board.
It doesn't matter what it is, because guess what? It's all going together.
And be around a bunch of people you're thankful for. Like,
yeah, be around people you like, do stuff you like.
Who cares about fucking conquest?
Yeah. Look, we're A, not conquesting anymore. B, we can't do anything about the thing that the terrible things that already happened.
Very few of us want to celebrate colonizers, right? I'm sure they're out there. But if I sit down with my family and I'm like, man, this is great. I haven't seen you guys in a while. I'm having a good time. I'm not committing a sin.
Right. If like grilled, if like your aunt has like a grilled asparagus recipe that's just like the shit, hey, guess what? That's what you bring on Thanksgiving. Is that what people normally have? I don't care. It's why do I have to standardize my Thanksgiving to some weird thing from the 50s? Like, no. Bring your fastball, dude.
Yeah. Well, and I fastball and your fastball staples though, because the only reason there's a Pavlovian response that you have on Thanksgiving when you eat this Thanksgiving food that you eat every year. You're like, oh fuck, I'm supposed to be really comfortable and hanging out and having a good time right now. You know what I mean?
I just want to watch 8 football games.
Yeah.
And I want to eat so many potatoes in all the forms that God intended for them to be given to me.
If it was all potatoes, I'd be cool with it. The potatoes are fucking God's gift to us.
Yeah, you want scalloped potatoes? It's essentially a draft. Like, who makes the best scalloped potato? Guess what, Aunt Linda? That's you. You bring potatoes.
I'll try the shit out of all of it.
Yeah, and so I'm never thrilled at the Thanksgiving prospect of like, oh man, I'm gonna go check out how this dude did turkey and see how it goes. The turkey,
you're never licking your lips going, I can't wait to try this fucking turkey.
It's like, dude, I'm gonna put stuffing, like I'm gonna put so much gravy on all of this stuff. Where are you at on gravy? Gravy takes. I
like gravy, man.
Yeah.
There are eventually every once in a while there's like a horseshit gravy. Like that's one thing that like I said I can do the cranberry sauce in the can. Gravy from a pouch sometimes is really tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, I like, and I don't like. There's like white gravy. That's not really my jam. I like the brown, the meat gravy. Give me the.
I almost don't discriminate when it comes to gravy, unless it's from the powder.
Well, and I like take a snippet of the. I like a thick gravy.
Oh yeah,
a lot of biscuits and gravy, like kind of gravy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because then guess what? You throw that shit on the turkey, suddenly it doesn't matter. That's
you can put that shit on a shoe.
Yeah, it's you put it on a brick. I'm eating that brick. That's now dessert brick.
That brick is fucked.
Yeah, you want to renovate your house? Put it on the drywall. I'll eat through that shit.
Are you a yams guy? You like yams?
Yeah, I like a yam.
I love yams.
I wasn't as a kid, and I wasn't a green bean casserole guy as a kid. I've come around to the error of my ways.
Okay, so yeah, I was immediately a green bean casserole guy just because we ate green beans a lot when I was younger. But the yams, it took me a long time. I never gave them a chance. Orange potatoes? Are you kidding me? These normal potatoes are great.
Yeah, but with the marshmallows, it's like a whole that like it's
See,
almost
I'm anti-marshmallow. See, this is
interesting.
how it goes,
Interesting.
man. I
I'll take them
don't.
either way. I
Yeah,
don't need the marshmallows for them to be good.
I don't like marshmallows. Like they're just like sugar sponges, you know. Like I just don't like.
It's some cocoa though.
I
You
could
know, I'm a
do
cocoa.
without.
I'm a big cocoa guy.
I had some really good cocoa the other night. Had marshmallows in it. Could have done without them, but they were
Interesting.
fine. I wasn't
Yeah,
angry about them. You know what I mean? They were
sure.
fine. I was like, these goddamn. Throw my mug against the wall. Uh,
I said never
yeah,
again.
I think we've talked about it on the podcast before. Is it Rocky Road ice cream that
Yeah, it has
has the
marshmallows in it.
marshmallows? What the fuck are you doing putting marshmallows in the ice cream? You know what I
Look,
mean?
dude, there used to only be 8 foods,
That
and
is
they
true.
were trying real hard
That
to
is true.
like.
It was
Okay, this guy has chocolate. This other guy has vanilla. What the fuck am I gonna do as the third guy? What can
yeah.
I bring to the table? You know,
Yeah,
it's
that guy was really, but like let's get some pralines in there, obviously. Let's get some
yeah.
caramel.
He really
Anything that
did.
actually freezes. Like marshmallows don't freeze.
He was already out. You know, and he was probably like an executive when they brought him chocolate, and he was like, "People will never." You know, he missed his opportunity, and
Yeah,
so now he's trying to figure a way into the market.
I don't trust marshmallow people. I can do by the fire marshmallows. Those are
Yeah.
good.
What about a s'more?
Those melt in your mouth. S'mores are fine. They're
Yeah.
fine. They're pretty good, but like
I've
it's a lot
resigned that
of
like
work, man.
a s'more is never as good as it looked in the Sandlot.
No.
Like it's messy as shit. It's always like you're never. I'm never satisfied at the end of the s'more. At the end of the s'more, I'm like, dude, I have so much whatever chocolate marshmallow on my hands and shit.
Yeah.
I gotta go. I can't go do another thing until I wash my hands now.
I
That is
always
not the sign of a great food.
I always decline the s'more because of that very reason.
Yeah.
It's on your face, it's on your
Yeah.
hands. What are we fucking heathens? Like
And it's difficult for you to look a fool. You don't
yeah.
want any food that could be on your face and you don't know it. It's a big tough one for you.
Oh man, I'm devastated when I find food on my face or like in my teeth. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, I just want to I just want to sign off at that point. I'm also like I'm not the biggest bonfire guy. Bonfires are cool. I like the idea of a fire. I like staring at the fire because I'm a human being. We all stare at fire. I like the warmth of a fire. I like all those things. You smell like a fucking bonfire for
Yeah.
like 3 weeks afterwards.
Well, and I know that there's some sort of
It's in your hair.
science behind it or something, but like I always feel like I'm getting 100% of the smoke.
Oh, the smoke follows you. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
thing, and I don't know. I never like clicked that link, you know, but
Yeah.
apparently they figured it out why that happens.
Yeah, somebody did the work, and I'm glad they did the work. It was
Yeah.
necessary work, but I don't know why it does that. But
Yeah,
like,
me neither.
yeah, I'm not having fun. Also, there's like there's like a pinpoint amount of closeness that you can get to a bonfire where you're not freezing or hot as fuck.
Very small
I don't-
Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, and that's a perfect way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I like you said, I'm a human being, and I'm also a dude, and I think dudes, not as a blanket statement, dudes like fire.
Yeah.
Like you know, and
It's
I
boss.
yeah, yeah, it fucking rips, dude.
Yeah.
But I'll be like, I want to be close enough to the fire where I can feel it, but not so close where I'm concerned that if there's a mishap, now I'm in the fire. And
Yeah.
there's not a good. You're either too far away, so you're like kind of cold except for the very front of your face, or you're so close that like now it's too hot. And I
Yeah.
don't like that about the bonfire.
And it's like, do you want your front side or your ass to be warm? Because both of them aren't going to be warm.
Yeah, there's no science. They might have figured out the smoke, but the science cannot figure out how to make a bonfire that's warm enough for your whole body. Because like,
We're going to need 2 fires.
yeah, well, it's stupid. If I have to wear a blanket and there's a fire nearby, that's a dumb thing that's happening. I don't like it.
And that's just the fire blanket from now on because it smells like a fucking
Yeah,
wood.
no, yeah, you'll never get that fire out, dude. That's gonna smell like Bonfire 2006 till the end of time.
Dude, and having long hair, I found out the last bonfire I was at, your hair smells like fire. It gets stuck in your hair, and I don't like that. My hair's supposed to smell like angels.
You can't wash it out. It's like, I mean, a bonfire smells better than like cigarette smoke, which also will not get off of you.
No.
I'll take that over the cigarette. But
the funny thing is, I like cigarette smoke in the air better than I like bonfire smoke. Once it gets on your shirt, I'd prefer bonfire smoke over cigarette smoke.
Yeah. Well, I think there's
very interesting.
There's a nostalgia for cigarette smoke if you're like about our age, because it's like we're the last people where like smoking was a big thing.
Yeah, for a while. My mama smoked in the house when I was younger.
Yeah, like you went to the bowling alley. Guess what? That you might as well just go buy a pack of Camels.
The bowling alley in Porterville, they still let you smoke in there. They tell you there's like a no smoking sign, but they don't enforce it, and everybody in town knows they don't enforce it. So that if people want to smoke inside, they go to the bowling alley bar.
It's a gentleman's sign.
It's a weird thing because that's actually like pretty common in bowling alleys. Is you can smoke in the bar. It's like a thing. I don't know.
Well, it's there for like just to have it. They have to have it there for the fire code. But nobody wants to be the dude, like, who has to enforce it. Yeah. And also, you don't want your business to go elsewhere. I'll go find a different place to drink and smoke at the same time.
Yeah. I'll go to my house.
I'll go play billiards in my own house.
God damn it. You know what's fun? You know what's fun is what's that table? What's that? It's a table. There's sand on it. And
shuffleboard.
Is that what it's called? That game's fun.
Yeah, it's like because there's big shuffleboard, which is like a big time old people game, where it's essentially the same. But yeah, I think at a bar, like the little table that has the weights, and you're trying to get it in the little zone or whatever. Yeah, like curling. Yeah,
you put like still called. You put like salt on the thing.
I think that's still called shuffleboard. That's the perfect drunk person game.
Nobody can get hurt.
Well, and it's like it's sort of like darts, where it's like to a certain degree you start to think that you can strategize a way to be really good at this thing, when really like I can't imagine like you're trying to put the salt in a way where you're like, oh yeah, this will be the one, this will help me out.
Yeah, but like the worst thing in the world is when somebody takes a bar game really seriously. Like I am fucking. Whenever I see videos of people playing beer pong, like adults playing beer pong and like celebrating and shit. Yeah. What are you doing? You're throwing ping pong balls in a cup. And you're acting like you hit the three, like you're Amari Stoudemire and shit.
I noted 3-point shooter Amari Stoudemire.
Hey, he would celebrate when he hit him.
Yeah. Yeah, I could never beer pong because I could never get past the ball that lands in my drink is now I have to drink the cup, and that ball's been like on the floor and under the couch and all this shit.
Almost nobody plays like that anymore though. There's just water in the cups, and it doesn't give like you just drink the beer in your hand. Because like the funny thing is, like, you're at a party, like it's not a punishment to drink at a party,
right?
So like you're like, oh man, I gotta drink a little bit of this beverage that I came here to drink. Like it's like, what are you talking about?
Well, if you go to a party and in your brain, or like before you went, if you told your friends, hey, tonight I'm gonna drink 17 beers, someone's gonna probably be like, hey dude, maybe not. But within the context of a game,
he lost a beer pong, man.
Yeah, like then you're like, look, dude, if I were better at beer pong, I wouldn't have had to drink as much. However, I'm a bad athlete, and so I get rewarded with the thing I wanted originally. I know that they've changed it, but I was playing beer pong a little bit with the people, and then they act like I had some sort of concern that wasn't okay. They're like, well, we dip it in water between rounds.
There's the water thing. Yeah, the water thing.
Wait, so the cup with the water.
Yep.
You dunked it in there. Now the shit that was on the balls in that water.
Yeah, it's in the water, yeah.
Then the next time that there's some shit on the ball, it's going in that same water.
Yeah.
That water's not like, unless every time you put new fresh water in that cup, and the cup's compromised. Like if you're talking about it from a purely germ standpoint,
Yeah.
you have not a leg to stand on. I know I'm an odd person, so I'll give you that. But if you're trying to out science me by telling me that ball is magically clean because it went in the prep water,
Yeah.
no, that's not true.
See, I got around this. I would put bleach in that cup. Just pure bleach. But Dusty, can I ask you something? Don't mute and then laugh at what I said, because then it sounds like I got nothing. It sounds like I bombed. You know what I mean? Because Dusty visibly laughed when I said that, but he was muted.
Hold on, hit me with it again.
No, I forgot. I forgot what the joke was. Let's get the theme song going. Welcome to Snark Marks, everybody. We are a wrestling retrospective podcast from the Central Valley of California. I'm Andrew. That's Dusty. I'm trying to go fast because I got a fucking wedding to go to an hour away again because nobody gets married near me. Follow us on the socials at Snark Marks Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Dusty's at Snark Mark D on Twitter. I am at Andrew Idell on Instagram, IDELL, because nobody knows how to spell my last name. This is our one of our deep dives, and it's like the fifth episode of this. All right.
Yes.
We're doing 1989 WCW/NWA, the year of Flair, Flair Town. We're coming to Flair Town.
Yeah. Hell comes to Flair Town.
Hell comes to Flair Town. That's what happened.
Herd comes to Flair Town.
Oh, god damn it. Well, yeah. I like Hell too because that sounds like something that Terry Funk would say. Like Hell's coming to town, you know.
Yeah.
So this one is Halloween Havoc 1989.
Halloween Havoc 89 settling the score. And I don't want to jump to the end at the beginning. The score remains unsettled.
Yeah, I was going to say I think we all knew the score would not be settled in this particular situation.
Yeah.
If I'm right, this is a pretty iconic poster. With the shot of the Road Warriors. Yeah. It's pretty dope. Yeah, it's dope. Yeah. This is one of the ones that I might be just putting the poster on our podcast poster because it's really good, and the Legion of Doom looks scary. They look mean.
Is Animal crushing a pumpkin in his hand?
No, they're just ready to fight.
Yeah, that's
I wish.
Yeah, so this is the first Halloween Havoc, which is an additional pay-per-view that the NWA came up with in 1989. I like the idea of a Halloween so I don't like a Halloween themed show. That is corny. I like a show around Halloween that is maybe a bit spooky. Like I think it's a fine line, but I think there's a line there.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about. I think they did it pretty well here. I mean, we don't need wrestlers in costumes. Most of them are already in costumes.
Yeah.
So but it'd be cool, like a little, like if they're passing out candy to the kids and shit, the baby faces, and then the heels are slapping the candy, like slapping the kids' candy bowls and shit. That'd be funny.
I think that later on they get away from like spooky themed and they go like, oh, it's Halloween, we have to do like corny Halloween shit.
Yeah.
RoboCop does not return for Halloween Havoc, which seems like the proper place for him to be.
Yeah, but we do have Terminators.
We do. Jesus. It is October 28th, 1989 at the Philadelphia Civic Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We have a raucous crowd of 7,300 people. The announcers again, Jim Ross and Bob Caudle. And because it is Halloween, the intro to this show has spooky music, which I like.
Yeah, what do you do? Non-spooky music?
Yeah. So we start the show in like a little bit of a weird way. So I paid my $24.99 or whatever it was in 1989. Get Halloween Havoc. I don't get any shots of wrestlers. I don't get any shots of action. I get immediate Gordon Solie, who I assume is dressed as a figure from a wax museum for Halloween.
Yep.
But it might just be Gordon Solie. And he doesn't even interview anybody. He just previews who he's going to interview, which is also just very bizarre to me.
And it's pretty cocky of Gordon Solie. Like, hey, we're not here for you, Gord. Like,
yeah, it's just him standing in like there's some spider webs and like a skeleton behind him, and he's like, tonight I'm gonna talk to Lex Luger, and I'm gonna talk to Ric Flair, and I'm gonna talk to Terry Funk about the Thunderdome. Right now I'm talking to nobody. And it's like, why am I seeing you, Gordon Solie?
Fucking boo!
Yeah.
Boo you!
And he's like, let's throw it over to our newest colleague, Chris Cruz, who's also interviewing nobody. It just previews the guys he's going to interview. Oh, I'll interview all the guys Gordon Solie doesn't interview. I don't care who either of you are. Like, unless you're talking to a wrestler.
Who could? Who could care? Like somebody like a young Michael Cole.
Yeah,
just watching Halloween Havoc, and that's what he watches it for, is just the announcers and shit. Oh, I just couldn't wait to find out what's his name, Gordon
Solie.
Who Gordon Solie's gonna interview. Like, I hope
he gets the free birds. Chris Cruz never asks the hard questions.
Are you in fact free as a bird?
Yeah, he's just softballs. Ball is softballs.
Ball of soft. I also forgot to mention that we opened to find out that Muta, Sting, Ric Flair, and Terry Funk have died.
What?
Because it's just there's 4 gravestones with Muta. Yeah. All of them. I was like, are we saying that? Is this a zombie match?
I think it's like the consequences of the Thunderdome could be so severe that you could die. Like
thunderwhelming is what I'll say.
We open the show with Mike Rotunda versus Tom Zink, and I'll say sometimes you win, sometimes you got to watch Mike Rotunda versus Tom Zink.
Goddamn, yeah. Dusty and I were talking about something. I can't remember what it was, and I was like, I got to watch fucking Mike Rotunda versus the Z-Man.
So both guys are in the ring to start. So I don't know I can't make heads or tails of what that means.
Neither deserves an entrance, but they get 13 goddamn minutes at the beginning of this show.
I was like, Z-Man has a better ring jacket, so maybe Z-Man is the winner of this match. I don't know. Look, I will say Mike Rotunda is equally a very competent, good pro wrestler, and a dude that like I cannot care about.
Yeah,
like at all. Like, he's so good at being a wrestler, and clearly like as a legit like tough guy and a legit amateur athlete and all that stuff. He just zaps all the charisma out of my body when I see him in this iteration, specifically as IRS. It's a little bit better because it's like there's a gimmick at least.
He's IRS. I fucking didn't know that.
So
he's Mike Rotunda is Mike Awesome without the awesome.
Yeah,
he's just the Mike.
If you look up white bread, it is Mike Rotunda.
It's Mike Rotunda.
And so they spend a lot of time here. What do you think about? I might have asked you this last week, but the NWA spends a lot of their time like running down the legit athletic achievements of their wrestlers. Like Mike Rotunda was on the Syracuse football team, and he was a All-American, and he, for some reason, the fact that he was almost a finalist in the punt, pass, and kick contest when he was like 12 years old lends credibility to him as a pro wrestler. Like, do you like that stuff? Because I like it. I understand why they do it.
Yeah, I like it. We've talked about it before. I like this being presented as a sporting event, especially with kayfabe still being intact. Like, they still are treating this like this is a real fight between two people. Yeah, don't dig too deep into it. Don't be like, he won the long jump in second grade.
Right. It's
But
the punt, pass, and kick thing was where I was like,
that's a
too
little too
much,
far.
Jim Ross. Yeah.
It's a little too far.
And then Z-Man's big accomplishment is he won like Mr. Minnesota in a bodybuilding contest, and they're like, "Hey, still a contest." You know what I mean? Still
Yeah, you got to say that one. That one's good. That one's good. He won Mr. Minnesota. Fuck yeah. There's some bears in Minnesota, dog.
Yeah, and the one good thing about the Z-Man is pretty ripped. Like he's definitely a dude that's in shape.
Yeah,
but
yeah, Z-Man's in shape.
If you couldn't find a picture of Mike Rotunda, because how could you tell it was him? A adequate replacement for White Bread would be Tom Zink, the Z-Man.
How could you tell it was it? That's a good point. There's no way I'm picking Mike Rotunda out of a lineup of any kind of, if they're all white guys, you could put Bob Saget in there. If I didn't know who Bob Saget was. Yeah, I'm just somebody who looks exactly like Bob Saget.
Yeah. And then Rotunda, because he's an athlete, obviously, at the end of this match hits a reverse crossbody off the second rope, which is pretty impressive, but it gets reversed by the Z-Man, and he wins, as Andrew previously stated. This match gets 13 minutes and 23 seconds to amount to 3/4 of a star.
13 minutes of 23 seconds of my life. Yeah. I noted one of my notes is the crowd was completely silent until the moment the match ended.
Yeah, they're like, Z-Man won, thank Christ.
I wrote, girl, same.
Yeah. So this is a critique that I do have about the NWA. The WWF at this time at least has the decency to, if they're going to put Dino Bravo out there against Ronnie Garvin, it's 4 minutes. Like, it's done. It's donezo. This and some of these other matches on this card, like, they are long for no other reason than it's like, well, it's wrestling. They have to tell a full story. We got to do all of that. It's like, dude, I don't care about some of these guys.
Hey, guess what? No, they don't. Just put somebody over. Maybe the Z-Man is going to be the next United States champion or some shit. Yeah. I doubt it, but maybe. Just put him over. Get him off my television screen.
So, true to his word, Chris Cruz is interviewing someone backstage, and it's Bruno Sammartino, legitimate wrestling legend, also Philadelphia legend. And that's why he's on this show, is because Philadelphia loves Bruno.
And Bruno Sammartino has never faced anything as difficult as refereeing a Thunderdome match. So the most difficult thing in the storied history of Bruno Sammartino is refereeing a no DQ match.
Yeah. And I think he like escaped Nazis.
Yeah.
And so as a child, like if it's from his mouth, I guess that's fine.
I did hear Bruno Sammartino never told lies.
Yeah. Like, how's he gonna know how difficult it is to referee a Thunderdome match? It's the first one. He just
knows. He's Bruno.
Yeah,
he knows what type of wrestling's about to happen.
He knows what's happening.
He knows one person might get shocked once and then they might forget that the fucking thing is electrified the rest of the match. Anyway.
Up next we have the Midnight Express and Dr. Death Steve Williams. Pretty good 6-man tag team, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Taking on the Samoan SWAT team and, for some reason, the Samoan Savage, who's not part of the team. He doesn't.
They needed a third.
Yeah. So, but they don't just call him the Samoan SWAT team. It's the Samoan SWAT team and the Samoan Savage. Like he's not on the team. Yeah,
he's not on the team. So Dr. Death Steve Williams isn't in the Midnight Express. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Did you see my tweet about Steve Williams?
I don't think I did.
Dr. Death Steve Williams is the NFL Blitz version of Macho Man Randy Savage.
That's a good tweet. I like Dr. Death Steve Williams.
Oh yeah, he's the shit. I fucking like, he's a monster.
He's great in this match, but the
Big Kahuna stinks, right?
Big Kahuna, Sir Oliver Humperdinck, is now the manager for the Samoan SWAT team. Paulie is nowhere to be found. Must have been one of the times whenever he was on the outs
Yeah.
WCW at this time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he stinks.
He stinks. He's just. I get it. Like, how many white guys are we gonna have that like they want you to think they're crazy, so they slightly close one eye, like
They got crazy eyes. Yeah.
they look around all like they're seeing things. I don't know.
Well,
As soon as I saw him, I was like, that guy stinks. That guy for sure stinks.
He is the Captain Lou Albano, like that you get from Wish. If
Yeah.
you want to look up Captain Lou Albano, that's what they're going for. But I thought again so before the match, Jim Cornette announces Dr. Death as the toughest man in wrestling, and then says the Midnight Express have wrecked more homes than Hurricane Hugo.
Fuck
and
yeah.
these are the baby faces.
Fuck yeah. They're home wreckers, bro. Well, fucking Ric Flair is the babyface in the main event. Like,
yeah, I guess.
And everybody loves Sid. Like, there's a really confusing, really confused crowd.
The Samoan SWAT team, apparently under the tutelage of Sir Oliver Humperdinck, according to Jim Ross, have reverted back to their savage ways. So
it's so fucking...
like, he's like, look, whenever they were with Paulie, they started eating at tables, they started using forks and knives, and Humperdinck was like, no, none of that shit. You only open food you can bang open with your head. So coconuts, possibly Chef Boyardee if you can get it open, again, only with your head or your teeth.
He puts a bucket in the room and they look at it and they're like, is that for? And he goes, you know what that's for.
Yeah. Hugo eating fish heads on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
They did the only we did the only humane thing we could do. Locked him in the cellar and fed him a bucket of fish heads a week. So
yeah, because it's too crazy for Boys Town. He's too much of a boy for Crazy Town.
Yep. Dude, I watched that episode the other day, and I watched the Radioactive Man movie episode, and I forgot there's a joke in there where Bart is complaining that there's no other comics that are as good as Radioactive Man, and Milhouse goes, I don't know, what about Radiation Dude? And he's like, Radiation Dude is clearly a knockoff of Radioactive Man, whereas Radioactive Man's catchphrase is up and at them, which is a delicious pun. Radiation Dude's catchphrase is up and let's go. Really good. And of course, eyes, the goggles do nothing.
The goggles do nothing. And Bart's trying to make himself look taller, so he's got like platform shoes on and he's got a chihuahua.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when they go, Bart Simpson, you're our new Fallout boy, is what I would be saying if you were 1 inch taller.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Samoan SWAT team and the Midnight Express and Dr. Death clearly have good chemistry. Like, these are the kind of the best undercard matches of all of these shows.
Yeah.
Because Midnight Express is good, and the Samoans are pretty good. They, like, Dr. Death just doesn't take any of the shit of the Samoan SWAT team. Like, he fights all three of them off at the same time, multiple times in this match.
Yeah, and the Samoans are like, you could tell they're green though, because like, Stan Lane tries a neck breaker, and I can't remember who it was, fucks it up bad. The guy who's taking it.
And he goes to punch one of them in the stomach, and the dude gets punched in the face because he bends down at the wrong time.
Yeah, and then it might have been could that have been a kick? Because they fucked up a kick too, or maybe we're seeing there's another one.
Yeah,
there's probably another one.
The one I saw specifically was a punch. Also, It's hard to sell Stan Lane's mall karate. Like, his shit is weak. Like, and Stan Lane is a good wrestler, and I love the Midnight Express, but like his karate is only 1989, the only kind of karate you could get away with in 1989. You know, like,
what was it called? Like PKA karate or something shit that was on TV.
Yeah.
It was like the point fighting karate.
It's like once even Seagal is out there in the general lexicon, like, you can't do the karate that Stan Lane does and have people be impressed by it.
It's funny how like everything that we thought was cool in the 80s and 90s was so lame. Like I guess we've just turned up the heat. Like it's followed the wrestling. Like you have this thing that's cool, and then you start doing that. Now we got to go a little bit further to be cool. Now we got to go a little bit further to be cool. You know what I mean? And like That karate shit is like so corny now, but it was the coolest thing in the world. Like, listen to my brother Jacob talk about karate from in the
Oh,
80s.
listen to me talk about karate from
Yeah.
the mid '90s. The Chuck Norris movie Sidekicks. I thought that was the baddest shit in the world when I was a kid.
I'm mad at Chuck Norris for Firewalker, so I can't give him any.
Yeah.
And
The
then
Samoans.
horrible hack fucking Chuck Norris jokes. Jesus Christ.
The Samoans finally isolate Bobby Eaton, and he's the babyface in peril here. And again, we get the Samoan trope of you can't hit them in the head
Yeah.
because it doesn't hurt them.
Samoans and Rick Steiner.
Yeah, at some point, I forget what the move is, but it might be them on the offense. Like but one of the Samoans headbutts Bobby Eaton, and Bob Caudle just goes, "Their heads are like bricks." You know that. Like, I'm not saying anything that's not common knowledge. Dr. Death comes in, and again, a hot tag, he cleans house, and then there's a bunch of chaos at the end, and the Samoan Savage, his name, not my description of him.
That's like Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is fighting today, and his nickname is the Black Beast. And the first time John Anik said it, I was like, "What the fuck did he just call that guy?"
Whoa!
Holy shit! I thought John Anik was a consummate professional.
You drinking before the fight, Anik?
Jesus Christ!
So, the Samoan Savage headbutts Stan Lane from behind, who falls into Jim Cornette, and the Samoans win. And that's to further the storyline from later on tonight, where Jim Cornette is also advising the dynamic dudes.
Okay,
and
weenie.
And his attention is split. So the Midnight Express is upset because they think that he's like his inattention to what was happening in the match led to them losing.
It was kind of a weak Cornette bump too, because they're trying to make it look like Cornette's the reason. So like Cornette he hits one of the Samoan SWAT team, or no, he hits their manager with his with the racket, and then he holds the racket in a really weird way, like next to his shoulder. So who was it that got pinned again? I can't remember.
Stan Lane.
So Stan Lane's head would hit the racket, so it seemed like the racket was I'd rather hit the racket than his shoulder.
Yeah, well, the idea of the racket's that it's loaded. Like it has like a brick or some shit in it.
It's a loaded racket.
Yeah. So 18 minutes, 16 seconds. This gets 3.5 stars. Again, shave about 5 minutes off of this guy.
Yeah.
And
that's the Midnight Express. That's like one of my favorite tag teams of all time. Make this a little shorter. Make it a little shorter.
Gordon Sully is backstage with Terry Funk and Gary Hart. And apparently there's some dude named Mr. J that's part of some sort of corporation that owns the contracts to Gary Hart and
who cares, right?
Right. Well, it's that's again like a totally 80s thing of like some sort of evil conglomerate is in charge of the wrestlers, you know.
It's like Mr. Big on Wayne's World.
Yeah, well, and it's like the NWA had this thing where they're like, okay, how is Gary Hart getting paid? How's he paying Terry? Like, we have to wrap these loose ends up. What if it's the Namasaki Corporation or what is it? Nobody cares, dude.
The Yakuza.
Yeah, it's like it's never gonna pay off. Is Mr. J gonna be in the Thunderdome match? No.
Nobody cares who's paying Terry Funk.
You pay Terry Funk in cattle, you know, like
or bones or both.
Bones of his enemies.
I'd take cattle, bones, or both.
Terry Funk with the classic line, Winston Churchill says never say die, Gary Hart says electrified.
Fuck yeah, bro. Fuck yeah,
dude. Terry Funk, he can do no wrong.
He's the best, man.
Yeah.
He's the goofiest good wrestler of all time,
and just the craziest. Like, he's the best at being crazy.
The Double Cross Ranch, bro.
Because he might actually be crazy. Like, you know, a lot of guys when they're acting in like a movie or in wrestling too, like they have to turn it up to 10th that like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But Terry Funk, you watch him and you're just like, yeah, that dude's fucking nuts. Like,
yeah, you believe that when he like when he does the thing where he's like hurt and discombobulated and he just starts fucking winging punches in air.
Yeah. Well, and anytime he goes to swing on a fan, I'm like, well, he might.
He might fuck that guy up. Yeah.
I don't know what he's gonna do. Yeah, I love Terry Funk, and what I don't love is our next match, which is the Cuban Assassin versus Wildfire Tommy Rich. Cuban Assassin's already in the ring, so that does not bode well for him.
Yeah, I mean, and he's called the Cuban Assassin.
Sure. Tommy Rich was world heavyweight champion for 4 days back in 1981. He beat Harley Race for the belt and then lost it back to him 4 days later.
That's wild. That's wild that Tommy Rich was the NWA champion.
Yeah, that's Wildfire.
That is Wildfire. And that's the only note that I have about this is Wildfire's a pretty dope-ass name for a wrestler.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't for Tommy Rich.
It's kind of burned on Tommy Rich in this fucking match. I mean, who cares about this match? This match ends in a Thez press. the worst finisher in the world. So did Lou Thez use that as a finisher?
Yeah, but that's like
times have changed. Yeah, times have changed.
I mean, Steve Austin at least spiced it up with some punches once he Thez pressed.
Yeah, he never finished somebody with that. That was just a means to get the guy on the ground.
So he could stomp a mud hole in him.
So he could stomp a mud hole. Thank you.
Tommy Rich looks like a character that Will Ferrell could have conceived and then played. Like
he looks like kind of a mess.
Yeah, the white hair is so crazy that it's like, oh, that guy must be in the Righteous Gemstones or fucking Eastbound and Down or something. He's that guy. So, like Andrew said, no one cares about this match.
Nobody cares. Fuck this match. I don't.
Tommy Rich wins. They're trying to do something with Tommy Rich by bringing him back in 1989. He sticks around for like a whole year. He's on Halloween Havoc 1990 also.
Fuck yeah, dude.
8 minutes,
money, Tommy Rich.
8 minutes, 26 seconds. This gets a dud rating, and I have to agree. So, the only interesting thing about this is the Cuban Assassin's real name is David Canal, and he and his wife own a sports bar called Crazy Dave's Sports Bar.
Fuck yeah, bro.
In Largo, Florida.
I like that. Tommy Rich was also Smoky Mountain Wrestling champion.
Yeah,
there's apparently something about this guy.
He's a big Southern wrestling guy.
Okay.
You know? And he's had a bunch of famous feuds. Like he feuded with Lawler in Memphis, and he was him and Buzz Sawyer in the early 80s had a match called Atlanta's Last Stand or something like that. So
he's a real dude. He's like a real dude. Yeah. Good for him.
Buddy's a dude. A 1989 dude. So
that is true.
At this point, Tommy Rich is kind of washed. So
at
least for mainstream wrestling, like he's better than the Iron Sheik. At least they got the Iron Sheik and some of those dudes from the early 1989 stuff out of the way.
Well, it's crazy because he's only 33.
Yeah.
He looks like he's 45.
That's the South, baby. That's territory living.
Hard running. You'll be happy to know Tommy Rich still alive, 66 years old.
I'm glad Tommy Rich is alive.
Yeah. That's what I said. Stinks. You'd be happy to know.
Yeah. Yeah. We
don't wish death on any of these people.
No.
You know?
It's just
except for maybe Z-Man.
It's just
I hope he's alive. Sorry.
The Z-Man's alive. Z-Man's a great shit.
The Z-Man died in 2017. God damn it.
I thought the Z-Man was going to live forever.
Atherosclerosis and cardiomegaly. God damn.
It's probably steroids.
Enlarged heart. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Well, fucking rest in peace, Z-Man. Sorry I said I wanted you to die.
Look, if you were throwing a dart at the people you thought would still be alive from this show, Z-Man's a good guess.
I probably would have picked Z-Man, yeah.
Yeah.
I would have guessed Lex Luger died a long time ago. That motherfucker's still alive.
Buzz Sawyer and Tommy Rich wrestled in the last Battle of Atlanta was what it was called. So I was close.
Okay. I like that.
That's that's 1983 though. So we're past it.
The next match is the main event, so we got to get going.
So the Freebirds are backstage. They're with Gordon Sully. Hayes again cuts a pretty good promo. Jimmy Garvin cuts less of a good promo.
Yeah.
He should stick to the wrestling part of the Freebirds team. Let Hayes do the talking. So many women, so little time, and like Prince said, it's a sign of the times.
Yeah,
From Michael Hayes.
it's fucking all right, man.
The Dynamic Dudes with Jim Cornette versus the Fabulous Freebirds for the World Tag Team titles. Um, the we talk about it every week. I think there's a new thing I appreciate every week from Bad Street USA. Like the riff is good. Like
it makes up for the bad verse because the verse is just him talking.
Yeah, well, he's got to save all of that so he can hit that bad street.
Yeah.
He knows where the hook is, you know.
That is true. He knows where the money is made, but
yeah.
God damn it, Michael Hayes. He fucking might be the GOAT, man. Is Michael Hayes the GOAT? Up there with he's up there with Flair and Spike
now,
Dudley.
There's a thing on this show that in my mind rivals the Michael Hayes 4 DDTs strut.
Dance.
I thought of another aspect of that too that makes it even better. There's no way he could have won the War Games match at that point because not everybody was in the ring. So he just DDT'd everybody and strutted like he had already won.
He just wanted everybody. He just wanted everybody to know who the hottest cock of the walk was in there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I don't know what the Freebirds are doing with their dance where like they're shaking the ropes a bunch, but then like Hayes is on the buckle and Garvin's in the ring and they're like finger gunning, pointing at each other.
I told you, dude, that's like one of the greatest moves in wrestling. The first time we saw the Freebirds, it was Garvin and Hayes, and that was the Freebirds to me, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna like these guys. And then they started fucking pointing at each other. It was the funniest, like most badass thing I'd ever seen in my life.
You fucking rule. No, dog. Yeah. You fucking rule.
You. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Fucking Scott Hall was like me. You know, right. These guys are really about the team. It's you.
They're more generous.
We miss you, Razor.
I don't know if I entered a fugue state during this match or what happened. All I know is that like it seemed like at every turn the Dynamic Dudes were doing for 1989 what seemed to be some pretty cool double team offense and like frustrating the Freebirds. So the Freebirds are doing the Southern wrestling thing where every time the baby faces get the advantage, they bail to the floor to talk shit to the crowd and heat it up more. And then all of a sudden, the dudes go for a double suplex and Michael Hayes grabs one of them and Jimmy Jam Garvin lands on top of the other dude and they pick up the win. And I was like, did anything happen in this match?
There was a moment where like the crowd started booing and Michael Hayes ran from fucking rope to rope doing the stare at the crowd thing that he does to get people more riled up. Like they were just Michael Hayesen. Like he was just doing his thing. And there was one part where Johnny
Ace.
Yeah. He has Jimmy Garvin in a headlock and he's fighting Michael Hayes while he has Garvin in a headlock. So he's he's kicking him and like pushing him away while keeping the headlock. And then he like head scissors him and flips both of them over. It was pretty sick.
Yeah. I was going to like for 1989, but I can't tell. The crowd doesn't seem to be with the dudes.
No, the Freebirds were the babyface in this one for some but they weren't booked. They weren't booked as the babyface, but like the crowd was definitely pro Freebirds in this. Like they started chanting DDT at one point, and like, which kind of sucks because you know that they're pushing the Dynamic Dudes to be babyfaces. Yeah. I would love to see like a dark heel turn for the Dynamic Dudes, but I don't think we're gonna see that.
Yeah. There's also another unsuccessful attempt to get a kid to play frisbee with them.
They just put a hat on the kid, just like not. Don't put the hat on straight. It's not cool. So you cock it to the side a little bit. That kid, that uncomfortable ass kid, is cool. I've never seen a kid that just embraces the moment with the wrestler. They always are just frozen. They can't fucking talk or move. They look unenthused. Like every time that Bret Hart would put his glasses on a kid, the kid would be like, "Thanks." I don't know. Like, what am I supposed to do?
The camera is so close to my face.
Yeah, every time it was fucking weird for the kids, and every time for the dynamic dudes, it's been weird. How long do the Dynamic Dudes last?
I believe that they are done by like at least 90.
Oh,
Because
really?
Johnny Ace goes to Japan.
Okay.
And then like he's actually married, maybe not anymore because he got caught up in the Vince McMahon sex scandal as well. But he was married to the Bella Twins' mom, like
Yeah.
as of a few years ago.
Yeah. So he's like tangentially, he's related to, no, he's related to Animal, right?
yes, he's Animal's brother.
God damn.
And so and then
One of
Shane
Animal's
Douglas.
brothers is a dynamic dude. I bet
Yeah.
Animal was like, don't fucking talk to me. Don't look at me backstage.
You don't get to wear face paint, Johnny. Or
I'm in laud, Johnny.
yeah, I don't know if you've heard of the Road Warrior pop. That's for me,
Yeah.
John.
Go be radical somewhere else.
Yeah. This match is 11 minutes 28 seconds. Gets 2.5 stars. Like there's nothing specifically to write home about aside from Michael Hayes just being a heat machine.
Just being Michael Hayes, man.
Yeah. Then we go back to the Steiner brothers, who get the pleasure of talking to Chris Cruz, and they're facing Doom tonight, who they've never seen. Nobody knows who Doom is. So Rick is just stoked that he gets to fight somebody tonight, and they're like, is the fact that woman's out there gonna distract you? And he's like, no, if I get a chance, I'm gonna fucking suplex her.
Yeah.
For double crossing me.
I'm gonna stomp that bitch.
Yeah, because she came into the NWA as a lady named Robin, who was a fan of the Steiner brothers, or Rick Steiner
really?
specifically. Yeah,
I didn't
and
know
was
that.
their manager, and then turned on him and became woman, evil woman.
Yeah, I'm still like uncomfortable by the name woman. Like it's a weird thing to call. Like I get like if you're trying to be funny and like demeaning, you can be like, "Oh, get away from me, woman." You know what I mean? Like it's stupid, and it's over. Like you don't do that anymore. But back then, I get it. But to name her woman,
I think it's supposed, if I remember right, it's supposed to be like she embodies all of the characteristics of a woman.
call
So
her
she's
broad.
she's the woman.
Yeah, it's still weird though, but I get your point.
Yeah. Doom comes out. A pretty cool entrance for Doom. Like the music that they have is pretty metal. I don't like the masked, like I feel like there's some, maybe I'm reading into a subtext, but it's weird to me.
I think you're reading into a subtext because it's there are masked wrestlers all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we can mask some black dudes. The funny thing is Jim Ross is like, what is the exact line that he says? It's really stupid. The backgrounds of Doom are as mysterious as their identity, bro. That's very clearly Ron Simmons and Butch Reed.
Yeah, it's not even because I know it's eventually Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. Yeah. There aren't too many dudes that look like Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. And then there's a part in the match where I think it's Scott has Simmons in a reverse chin lock, and you can clearly see it's Ron Simmons. He's like trying to cover his face.
Ron Simmons is a very distinct looking man, and you can hear his voice at one point too, and he's a very distinct sounding man. So like the Butch Reed is not as obvious, but it's very, very clearly Ron Simmons. Like so you didn't have to. You don't need to take the mask off, Ron. We know who you are.
That's why they ditched the masks eventually, I think, because people were like, okay, come on. Like, yeah. What do you want from me here? Like, and so, but Doom is a cool tag team name. We talked about that before.
It is cool. It's tough because you have the Legion of Doom in the organization. But Doom's a cool tag.
I also like that whenever the NWA has managers, they say X presents. So it's like, up next, woman presents Doom. Yeah. Like, all right, that's a cool way to.
She's like Live Nation and shit.
Yeah. Play the hits, Doom.
God damn it.
You've only got 12 minutes on stage. Dire Straits is up next. So this match is a clinic in the fact that the Steiner brothers throw the nastiest suplexes in like they German suplex the dudes from Doom on their heads like 3 or 4 different times in this match where I was like, Jesus Christ, man.
In Rick's clotheslines. Oh,
Yeah, and they the minimum legal amount of Steiner lines was hit in this match, where it's like Rick does this thing where he like plants and then like launches to do
yeah.
the Steiner line, and that's why it looks so devastating. And it's like Ron Simmons is not a small man
Mm-mm.
by any stretch.
He's what I would call a big fucker.
Yeah, and like he is taken out by these things. But like these guys have pretty good chemistry. There's another Doom match that we had watched for the Steiner Brothers retrospective we did that also is pretty good. It's once Doom is unmasked, so I feel like it's a little bit better because the gimmick isn't so weird.
You don't have to like, yeah. You don't have to just keep being like, this is fucking like they're just wearing masks, huh? That's their thing.
Yeah.
That they're wearing masks.
I like that like they also sell really well, and I know we talked about that in the Steiner Brothers episode, but like once you get them down, Rick Steiner is really good at selling and getting sympathy from the crowd.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Rick Steiner is like he's kind of like Tony Soprano, where he's a very, very tough, scary, dangerous person, but he's got this childishness about him that makes you like love the guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's Rick bumped like a motherfucker all over the place. His face was always in the doo-doo, always. Yeah. So like I think that's the appeal of like the Rick Steiner, one of the main part of the Rick Steiner appeal for me, you know, because it ain't fake. I love the guy.
No, I know. You have a t-shirt of Rick Steiner, and you don't wear t-shirts of anybody.
No, so, I don't. And it's a bad t-shirt. It's like it's not printed well. It's like the graphic is like, I don't know. It's shitty, but I have it. It's comfy.
They hot tag for Rick, but then the ref doesn't see it, which is a good tactic in this thing, but then they use it. There's a lot of tag team matches in this show, and they use that particular gimmick a couple more times, and it's not, each time you do it, it's less effective. So eventually they get they make the hot tag, and then Rick comes in and does some power moves, and then Scott, because he's a freak of nature in 1989, just fucking whips a Frankensteiner like it's nothing out of like from a standing position into the Hurricane Rana on Doom number 2, we'll say. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. We can tell them apart when we can see their faces. I think one of them is like, I think Butch Reed is like taller than Ron Simmons, right?
Yeah, I think so, a little bit taller. But like in the match, they keep going.
You can't tell,
that's Doom number 1. And like, no, you're never gonna get over if you're number 1.
I wonder if they stayed consistent, or if they were just saying that shit, or if like they were nailing Doom number 1 and Doom number 2.
Well, Butch Reed has like a little thing on his arm, like a band.
Okay,
that I think is what you can tell them apart. But while that's happening, woman distracts Rick Steiner and then puts something in one of the Doom guys' masks, and then he headbutts Rick Steiner, falls on top of him, picks up the pin, because Rick Steiner, 1989, in the doo-doo.
He is the most crapped on wrestler in history in 1989. That looked fucking hilarious. It's like she put a brick under his mask. There's a big old bump on his forehead.
Well, that's a long time like masked wrestler thing. Like the Masked Assassin used to do that. It just put something in the corner of his mask and headbutt a dude with it.
It's also hitting your head.
Fair point, but you put the soft side on your own head.
I know they make it to where there's like a little cushion. There's memory foam in there and shit.
You think this is my first rodeo?
I wonder what it actually was that they put in there. Like, I wonder what prop they decided to looked right in the head.
Top of a jelly jar.
I thought maybe a can of Spam.
Possibly. Spam would hurt. I mean,
it would hurt like shit. It would hurt like shit.
That's 15 minutes, 26 seconds. This gets 2.25 stars. And of course, I love seeing the Steiner Brothers do Steiner Brothers stuff. So,
yeah, me too.
Gordon Sully's with Lex Luger. Luger, again, is continuing, like, all of his promos are essentially like, for 1989, he says he's the real deal. This is not an exhibition, and that he's going to be the wrestler of the 90s.
Honestly, dude, I love this Lex Luger compared to what we get eventually out of Lex Luger, which is like kind of personality-less, like directionless, just stacked as fuck dude that like everybody knows as a famous wrestler guy. Like that's kind of what he was. Like he was over because he was Lex Luger. Like that's the only thing, you know. And then they had the cool storyline when he became champ. During was it that the NWO era?
Yeah, whenever he beats Hogan for the
Yeah,
belt.
yeah. And then but
which he shouldn't have done because Sting should have beat him for the belt. But what are you gonna do?
you know what, God damn it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like this Luger he has a gimmick. He's cocky.
Yeah.
He's arrogant. Like
he's a total package.
And he turns it up. Like he turns it up a little bit. And even in the match, he's doing it. Like the match is a lot more intriguing than most Lex Luger matches we've ever watched because he has put stakes on it himself. Everybody liked watching Conor McGregor fight because he put so much pressure on himself by telling everybody that he was the shit, right?
Yeah.
And like, I'm just like, it bums me out because I feel like Luger could have gone like he had a wildly successful career. So I'm not saying that he but like I just think it could have been better. I think it could have been better if he would have kept some sort of personality.
Just wait. Sometime we're gonna do the Lex Luger WWF push from 1993, 1994, and it's just like they tried so hard to make him like Hulk Hogan 2.0, and people just weren't into it.
Like eat your vitamins type shit.
Yeah, like he turns full America babyface.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
It has
fucking
like a
Vince, man.
Yeah, it has like a bus to campaign called the Lex Express, and it's it's really bad. So Gordon Sully then asks Luger how many times he's been champ, and Luger's like, "I'll be the champ for as long as I want to be the fucking champ now," and leaves. And then Gordon Sully afterwards throws some shade at Luger's, like, "Well, he's a multiple-time champ. That means he's lost the belt before.
Means he can lose."
Yeah, well, but then it's like the counter argument to that is, yeah, but then I won the shit again. So, you know,
he didn't stick around for the counter argument though, so he doesn't get it.
Right. So Pillman comes to the ring with cheerleaders, and the crowd is into him, but the crowd loves Lex Luger.
Yeah,
like they're chanting for Lex Luger before he comes out. And whenever he comes out, he gets a huge babyface pop, which I think is probably the opposite of what they were going for.
That, like we talked about, that happened a lot on this show. They're cheering the heels because Philadelphia is a heel city.
Yeah, they're a menace, really.
It's a whole crowd of heels. Like, look what they did to Bill Burr.
So it's Lex Luger versus Flying Brian Pillman for the U.S. title. Clearly, they have designs on Pillman as like an upper tier guy, like an upper mid card wrestler at this point.
Yeah.
And he's good. Like this is a good match. So Jim Ross tries to do his real athlete credentials thing, but it again falls a little short because he's like Lex Luger he got kicked out of college and then became the youngest professional football player in Canada. Boo.
Yeah.
We don't care about that.
I can play professional football in Canada.
It's like he played 7 years in the CFL. Nobody cares about the CFL at all. And they have a definite story of this match, which is like Lex Luger's power versus Pillman's speed, and the idea that Pillman is trying to frustrate Lex Luger to the point that he will make a mistake, because straight up Pillman realizes he's not as strong, he's not as big, he's not as experienced. And I thought that's a really good story, especially if you're a wrestling company that tries to sell your stories as real sports stories.
Yeah.
Like the young upstart underdog knows that he has to use all of his tricks to try to beat the established veteran guy. And that's the match that they have. Pillman frustrates Luger with like he keeps doing these arm drags and arm bars, working on the arm, and Luger's clearly selling the frustration. And then eventually Luger, of course, gets his by coming back with all these power moves, which lets Pillman sell, and the crowd gets into him. Like for the actual story of the match, they're not playing along, but you're getting the reactions you would want.
It was the classic veteran is surprised by how good the young guy is match, where like story, where it was like even they did a really good job of like it cuts to Luger's face and Jim Ross is like, see, look at his face, it looks like he's not having as easy a time as he thought he was going to, like that type of stuff, which is always good for a cocky heel, you know what I mean?
That's because he thinks it's going to be a cakewalk.
And
and then it turns out that he's got to actually do something to win this match, you know. So the end, see, Pillman hits a really cool looking top rope sunset flip, like he's way in the air for this sunset flip that gets a near fall. Then he hits his finish, which is like a flying shoulder tackle from the middle of the ropes, and then that almost gets the pin. And then, of course, Pillman makes a mistake. That's the story. Is he goes for one too many high risk moves, misses a top rope drop kick, and then Luger catches him coming off the ropes and hits a hot shot where he bounces him off the other rope throat first, and that's how he picks up the pin. So it's like Luger didn't get lucky, but he used like his ring awareness and his like smarts to beat Pillman because Pillman got too like overzealous at the end of the match.
Yeah, and I like the hot shot. It's pretty cool.
It's a cool looking move, and you can buy that it hurts because like the ropes, like that stuff. The ropes look stiff.
So yeah, I don't want to eat one of those. One critique I have is Luger was very blatantly calling spots the entire match.
Yeah, that's. Like, I think that might be a Luger thing.
Yeah, like, he's very blatantly calling spots the whole.
It's a little loud. 1648, and this gets 3.25 stars, which I think is pretty fair. It's still probably a little long for optimal match time, but a good match that I enjoyed.
Yeah, it was fun, and it was, like I said, it was one of the most enjoyable Lex Luger matches I've ever watched. And that, frankly, sorry, Lex, is not saying a whole lot, but it's an intriguing Lex Luger.
Yeah.
It's this is what Lex should have been.
this Luger and before the NWO, when he comes back to WCW, Lex Luger are probably the two high points for me as far as like a character goes.
Yeah.
Because this Luger only gets better. He wins the world title in 91 and is full on heel with Harley Race as his manager. And like, that's a really good, like he's got the cockiness like dialed all the way in.
Oh, okay.
And that's cool.
So it seems like WWE kind of like took that away from him, and then he didn't have a direction once he went back to WCW kind of. Well, he was a little cocky at the beginning of WCW, right?
Yeah, he had a direction until the NWO came in, and then he's got to be a babyface. But of course, the NWO are cool guys
because they dictated everybody's gimmicks because they're fucking. I hate them. Yeah. I hate the NWO. God damn it.
Next up, we got Chris Cruz with the Road Warriors, and they're talking about like the Skyscrapers are a team that like you guys seem like underdogs compared to, because normally you're the biggest, strongest team, and now you're up against these two big motherfuckers. And Hawk's like, people say we've been underdogs our whole careers, and like, I don't think that's true.
Have they?
Yeah, I don't.
You're the Road Warriors.
Yeah,
the guys with the spikes on their shoulders are very rarely the underdogs.
Animal's face paint is dope on this one. I will.
Yeah. He had like the red, right? He had like a little bit of red. Yeah, it looks good.
And they say they're the number one team. So they, of course, are taking on Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious, the Skyscrapers, with Teddy Long. Again, Iron Man, maybe the best entrance song of all time.
It's pretty sick. It's pretty sick.
For the Road Warriors specifically, and they come out with like the fog and shit. How do you not cheer the Road Warriors?
And they're coming up from the underside. From the underworld, very slowly. The apparatus that they set up to bring them up from under the floor, they probably could have turned it up a little bit because it takes a long time for them to get all the way.
Turn it up to 2, you know?
Yeah, I'm cool with 2. I'm cool with 2.
I think it's like, I don't know how to explain it cognitively, but calling them the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, is so much cooler than just either the Road Warriors or the Legion of Doom. like these guys are so badass, they get an unwieldy name, and no one can talk shit about it because they're that badass. It's, you know,
that's fucking funny. Yeah, I like both names. I prefer the Road Warriors just because that's them, but Legion of Doom's pretty sick too. So,
this match, not that sick though. This match kind of stinks. So, as is 1989 Road Warriors, often the case, this match is not very good because they're not being. It's hard for the Road Warriors to be baby faces, not with the crowd, but as far as matches go, because the instinct is to put them with teams that are as big or bigger than they are, and that doesn't play to the strength of the Road Warriors as wrestlers. Like Jim Cornette always talked about, like the best matches the Road Warriors had were against like the Midnight Express or Tully and Arn, because those are small guys who bump for the
Mhm.
offense, and like it looks like they're killing those guys with their moves, and it's like I don't want to see that it takes both Road Warriors to take down or to take down Dan Spivey, like it sort of kills the illusion. Like they used to kill jobbers in like 20 seconds flat,
Yeah.
like it's chaos and whatever. And Sid is super green, and it's just not a good place to put any of them. I understand the idea of the appeal of having that match, but it like in practice it doesn't really work as well.
Yeah, I don't really mind the Road Warriors being smaller because it's like, especially if they're the baby face, they have to overcome something. They're still powerful. You have to show that they have heart and they have grit, and they're meaner than you, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not as fun than as when they're fucking clotheslining people and the guy does a fucking front flip, or a back flip.
It's the Road Warriors. It always seems like they're better when they have to overcome sneakiness. Like, in a straight up fight, the Road Warriors clearly win, but how are they going to get fucked out of winning this match?
Yeah.
And how do they avoid having that happen so that I get to see them actually win? Speaking of getting fucked out of the end of this match, the end is Teddy Long throws in a key. I don't know where the key came from, but it's apparently they keep saying heavy metal, like it means something.
Is a heavy metal key, like it.
Yeah, they're like, oh shit, this key is made of heavy materials.
That's the key to Iron Maiden's tour bus.
Yeah, it's like, and of course this leads to a disqualification because you also can't beat the Road Warriors. Like nobody wants to see the Road Warriors get pinned by anybody. And you don't want to beat the Skyscrapers apparently because you want them to maintain being a threat.
Yeah.
So you're sort of like we talked about last week, you're sort of left with a match that you can't do anything with.
Yeah, it's almost a don't book the match situation, but it's fine. Well, how many stars did this get?
11 minutes 39 seconds. It's got 2.5 stars, which is almost incomprehensible to me. This got this got a little bit above the Steiner Brothers versus Doom, which is a match I've way more enjoyed than this match. And I love the Road Warriors. It's just Dan Spivey and Sid do nothing for me, like as a team, aside from being big fucking dudes.
I like Sid. I don't know. I do not care about Dan Spivey at all.
They would be fun to see smash if we were watching like weekly NWA TV and they were just smashing jobbers. I could see how it could be fun to watch the Skyscrapers.
You want to guess? You want to guess how old Dan Spivey is today?
Dan Spivey alive.
He is alive.
I am going to say that Dan Spivey is a spry 68 years old.
That's close. He's 70.
Okay.
That's old as shit.
Yeah. And still has the flat top last time I saw him.
That means he was how long ago was this? 33 years ago? So he was what, 40? He was 37.
Yeah. He's an older guy at this point. He retires in 95 from like wear and tear injuries.
Yeah, he's 9 years older than Sid.
Yeah.
Sid's like, I gotta wrestle with this fucking dinosaur.
And I gotta listen to what he says about match psychology. I'm Sid.
I'm a goddamn Sid. Everybody cheers me no matter what I do.
Yeah, that is the match psychology. Be Sid. So we go our final backstage. Chris Cruz is interviewing Ric Flair, Sting, and Ole Anderson. And Anderson promises that he will never throw in the towel, which would be confusing since they hadn't laid out what the match stipulations were, unless you watched the TV leading up to this. But they will end Funk and the Great Muta tonight. And Sting says it's Halloween, and I guess there's gonna be havoc. All right, way to go, Sting.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the name of the show, Sting. You fucking
Yeah.
asshole. Yeah, it's I do though. I like just happy to be here, Sting.
Yeah, all of his promos are like weird non sequiturs, like almost Ultimate Warrior, but like no one can do it to the level of the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, because you got to be a certain level of dumb to do it to the level of Ultimate Warrior. I don't think Sting is that level of dumb.
Right. It's like, yeah, and Flair's the one really selling this thing, and Sting is just like, hey man, I'm doing great. Like,
hey, Rick, thank you for letting me be involved in this.
Yeah. The Thunderdome cage match is next. Bruno Sammartino is the special referee, and as we said earlier, he said that this was the toughest thing that he was ever going to have to do. And I looked up Bruno Sammartino's life, and in during World War II, his hometown was invaded by troops of the Waffen SS, leading Amelia, his mom, to hide Sammartino.
That sounds German.
Yeah, leading Amelia to hide Sammartino and his siblings in a remote hideout at the top of a nearby mountain called Vala Rocca. Thunderdome cage.
Dusty, have you ever refereed a Thunderdome match?
He was the youngest of 7 children, 4 of whom died during his early childhood. Thunderdome.
It's electrified, Dusty.
So when Sammartino arrived in the U.S., he spoke no English and was sickly from the many years of war. So, but tonight he's got to make sure Great Muta stays in line during the main event.
I'm sure Bruno Sammartino's been stabbed before, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so the way this match works is there are 2 designated quote unquote Terminators. And they are the only ones who can end this match. Gary Hart for his team and Ole Anderson for the babyface team. And the top of this cage is quote unquote electrified. So
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, dude.
Did you see when Muta came out? He had like a security guard behind him. Like he's walking to the ring and there's a dude behind him just making sure nobody. I don't know why that is.
It's protecting the people from Muta. He is of the Orient, Dusty.
That's true. He's the pearl. When Terry Funk comes out, he once again scares a fan who tries to bow up to Terry Funk, which might be my favorite part of the NWA in 1989. Like this dude bows up to Funk and Funk winds his hand back and goes to throw a punch and the dude backs up. Yeah. And then Funk throws another one just to punk him out even more.
I wonder if Terry Funk is like backstage, like looking through the curtain, and he's like, "All right, who's my bitch today? Who's my bitch?"
He's backstage. Well, that guy's girlfriend lost respect for that guy tonight.
It's Terry Funk, Jessica.
Yeah, but, he was talking a lot of shit before the show.
I'm gonna fuck up that Terry Funk. Dog.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck what Funk does.
I know he's coming right for me. I feel it.
As the cage lowers, like some pyro or some shit goes off at the top of the cage, and for some reason they had burlap at the top of this thing, and some of the burlap sets on, like legit sets on fire. And
yeah, they tried to make it look like a fucking Universal Studios ride, and they put this like tattered ass brown blanket over the top to make it look like we're in the jungle somewhere. Yeah, and it caught on fire because the stupid sparks that they shot at.
And in an infinitely cool moment, possibly the second coolest moment to Michael Hayes' 4 DDTs and strut off. Yeah, Great Muta climbs the cage and spits the mist at the fire, putting out the fire. Dope.
Yep.
He's dope.
He fucking put out the fire with his mist spit, bro.
Yeah, he's the king. How do you boo that man at that point? So apparently what happened, I just listened to a Jim Cornette thing where he brought up the Thunderdome. Apparently there was like some sort of Hollywood gimmick rigged quote unquote electricity effect at the top of this cage. And when this shit set on fire, the fire marshal was like, hey, shut that shit down or I'm shutting the show down. And so that's why there's no electricity during the whole thing.
Okay, so a few fucking things.
From what I heard.
This is all, and that sounds like it's probably true, because why did you put that shit all over the ring? They put like there's like a stick on the ring, on the cage, like a stick, like a long, like something fell off a tree, and they fixed it to this thing because they thought it made it look badass or something. Like, it's an electrified cage,
right?
You don't need a stick.
It doesn't need more stuff. Like,
yeah. So then the only real professional in this fucking building is Great Muta, because at least he pretended that it was still electrified.
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, NWA, if you were to at the time stack it like 1-to-1 to WWE in-ring quality, NWA takes it like second to none. In my mind, almost. And as far as treating it like a sport, it's the NWA. As far as like the aesthetics for what I like of pro wrestling, NWA wins. The problem is when the NWA tries to do WWF style shit, it always looks like cut rate. Because this is a WWF idea. Electrified steel cage is definitely their shit. But they don't, like, whenever they do it, it always looks top notch.
Yeah.
And because that's their thing. They're an entertainment company. Like, you know,
Vince is like, rehearse it once, you fucking losers. Like,
right. They like, and NWA is like, oh, we want to be in the like entertainment-y, whatever, glitz and glamour part of it, but we're also a Southern wrestling company, so we don't do the same shit. And it always looks second rate. Like, they can't compete with the spectacle part that the WWF has. It's just always going to look cleaner when WWF does it. So it's like, this is one of the few things where I feel like NWA 89 fails because the Thunderdome sucks. It just just sucks. Like, it's corny, it's cheesy. They can't deliver on the stipulation because they almost set the building on fire. Like,
well, this is the worst thing about it. Because cage matches are fine. I'm cool with it. I like a cage match every once in a while. So the idea of the Thunderdome cage, we didn't say this. The top of the cage is electrified.
Yeah.
The rest of the cage is not electrified. Only the top. Yeah. But you don't win by leaving.
No, can't leave.
You can't leave the Thunderdome cage. So there's no reason to go up to where it's electrified. Unless you're gonna
to keep from getting your ass beat.
If you're if you're gonna like be a coward and leave. But I'm sure if you just have your guy throw in the towel at that point, like, just quit.
But the thing is, Ole Anderson and Gary Hart were picked because they're cold-hearted Grinches who will never throw in the towel.
Yeah, but they're old. Kick them in the face. Take the fucking thing, throw it in, and fucking leave.
Yeah,
go see your wife and kids.
Yeah, I like the idea of the no door cage, and like the idea that it's like, hey man, we're fucking locked in this thing, and it's gotta we have to settle the score, like the the tagline says.
Yeah.
But in practice for this particular match, it doesn't work. It also doesn't work because you're like, fuck yeah, Thunderdome, hated rivals, it's going down, and then it starts and it's just a regular tag team match. Like, but there's two guys are on the outside, two guys start, you have to tag, and I was watching it going like, what the hell is this? Why? Like, and they eventually fix it, because I don't know if they did it on the fly or if it was part of the match, but they were like, you know what? We gotta, once the thing's not electrified and we can't like count on that, we gotta fucking put some chaos in this match.
Yeah, because it's just another situation in which it's for some reason it's a no DQ match, but they just keep following all the tag team rules.
Yeah, you have to hold the tag rope to tag in. It's like, dude, Terry Funk tried to paralyze you and end your career, and you're like, well, I'll break on 5.
Yeah,
you know, I'm not a monster. So I like that there's a part where Sting picks up Muta and is trying to like push him through the cage like he's making sausage out of the Great Muta somehow. And I don't know how that hurts necessarily in a wrestling context, but it's like it looked cool that you're like, oh shit, is he gonna push him through the cage?
You know what doesn't help? Like, it's funny too, because when he's doing that, Terry Funk is like right next to them on the cage, because Terry Funk just kept like hanging off the cage for no reason, and he's hanging off the cage and he's looking, and his guy is getting shoved through this hole. Yeah. But Terry keeps like shaking the cage. Like, he's looking at Muta and he's shaking the cage. You know, that's making it way worse for Muta.
Yeah. Well, but Funk is crazy. He thinks it's helping.
He's crazy.
He
was when he was in the corner, when Muta would hit the ropes, Terry Funk would like shake the ropes really quick. Like it was helping Muta, like it was making him more bouncy.
Make it faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also this cage, I would say that its setup is sketchy at best. Like this cage is moving when you push on it. Like
yeah, it is not that rigid. It is flailing a little bit. The wind would move this thing around.
It's definitely county fair Thunderdome cage. You know? They also in this match, you got to stop saying the word designated Terminator. Like
you got to stop. Why did they call it a Terminator? It's a really stupid thing that to call it.
Because he's the only guy who can terminate the match.
I know why they called it a Terminator. Dusty.
But it's like, I'm just making sure. You asked the question.
That is true.
Maybe don't ask the question.
It's a fair point.
And I get backstage, you're like, fucking sounds boss, dude. Designated Terminator. Hell yeah.
And it's very 80s. It's very like sounds boss in the 80s. But I looked it up. Yeah. The Terminator movies existed.
Yeah. That's why you got to stop saying it.
You can't say that. It means something different now.
The first Terminator movie exists and has been around for a while.
Yeah, it was 1984, I think.
Yeah. So I don't love that, but I do love the Great Muta, and he does a lot of awesome shit in this match.
He does.
But finally, they're like, you know what? We just have to fight. Like it doesn't matter. Standard tag team match is not doing it for this crowd in Philly. They're hoping to see somebody get electrocuted. And we can't promise that, or we can't deliver on that promise. So now we just have to make it look like chaos. And they're fighting all around the cage and all around the floor. And Muta, like you said, is the only professional. He sells the quote unquote electricity like one time. And then Flair climbs to the
fuck.
Yeah. It's like when you get electrocuted and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's like fuck. And then the rest of it, Terry Funk is literally like putting his mouth on it and shit. Like he's very clearly making it to where he's like, you guys know this is not electrocuted.
Well, he's hanging off the cable, the supposedly electrified cable, and he's up there by where the whatever the tower is supposed to be. He's not doing any of that shit. There's a part in this match where Flair puts Muta in the figure 4 in the ring, and Funk is up on the cage, so he can't do anything. And Sting is actually Sting.
The swinger.
There's some kind of rope for some reason
in the corner. Yeah. It's for this reason.
Yeah, I guess. He grabs it and he's like going like perpendicular to where Funk is, and he'll just swing off of his side of the cage and just kick Terry Funk and like then go back and then do it again. And it's like it would hurt, I would guess, if you did that to somebody, but it's sort of silly.
It takes him over a minute to get reset up to fucking do it again.
Yeah, well, because he's trying to. The cage is wobbly as shit. It's a whole. The whole mechanism is problematic.
Well, earlier in the match, Funk was stuck because Funk is the master of getting his leg stuck and shit and hanging from it. Nobody ever has been better at that than him at that. And he's hanging upside down, and Flair gets the rope because Flair's up there with him, and Flair tries to swing into him, but Flair doesn't get enough like of a swing back, so he like barely like kind of bumps into him, and then you could tell that Flair realized that looked like horse shit, so he lets go of the rope and just starts wailing on fucking on Funk into the body.
Yeah, and Funk is like horizontal on the cage, and then Funk, of course, ties up Sting. He knows knots. He's from the Double Cross Ranch, He like ties Sting's leg around the cage with the rope, and then Muta and Funk beat up Flair while Ole Anderson tries to get Sting's leg out. And all I can think
is
of
stupid because Sting could reach the knot.
He's having a tough time. He's got to hang on, dude.
He's got to hang on.
Like, it reminded me of the Bret Hart match we watched where he tied up Kevin Nash's leg, and apparently Bret did like a real knot, and Nash couldn't get his leg untied. And the ref had to come help him. So there's a cool spot near the end of this thing where Flair puts the figure 4 on Funk after he's like worked over Funk's leg, and Funk does an awesome job selling that he can't even stand. Like he tries to get up and he just flops back over. And
Terry Funk forever, man. I fucking love that guy.
Flair has the figure 4 on him, and Sting is doing top rope splashes onto Funk's like top half while Flair's got him locked in the figure 4. And Funk is basically begging Gary Hart to throw the towel, and he's like, come on, man.
Come on, fuck, man. I know I'm crazy, but I'm gonna fucking die in here. Fucking after Sting.
Fucking dying, man.
Fucking dying here, man. After Sting gets his fucking leg untied, he hits a pretty sick splash from like the top corner of the cage that I was like, he's not gonna actually, like, that looks fucking terrifying. Like, you feel like your legs are gonna get caught and shit, and you're gonna look stupid or break your neck, either or.
That's a Sting before he like tore his ACL.
Yeah, that was major caca Sting.
Yeah, he didn't Randy Savage it. Like,
but my knee is fucking fuck city, bro.
Oh, man. I can't get over your Terry Funk impression, dude. I'm gonna fucking die in here. You expect San Martino to help me?
Man, Bruno's already going through the worst thing in his whole life. His whole goddamn life.
I know there's a designated Terminator, but Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, terminate this shit, please.
So the end of the match is
you're not a designated let Terry Funk die-inator.
What do you want me? What I'm supposed to do about my legs, Gary Hart?
Everybody's always like, "Oh man, Terry's the toughest son of a bitch in the world." I feel like this is working against me right now.
I'm telling you, I'm having 100% not a great time, bro. The end of this match is Muta tries to fuck with San Martino, and San Martino's like, not today, dude. I hid from Nazis in a fucking mountain, bro. You think I'm scared of the Great Muta?
Bro, and Muta, like, he tries a backhand chop at San Martino and just completely whiffs over the top of San Martino's head. Yeah. It's like, bro, find a different way to miss. Like, you are a super athlete. You're not going to miss your chop spot by like a foot and a half when the guy's standing right in front of you. I know San Martino's a little shorter than you'd expect. When I saw him, I was like, God damn, because he's like supposed to be. Bruno was like a big guy, you know.
He's stout, you know.
Yeah, apparently he was strong as an ox, right?
Yeah, barrel chested as it.
He was a big fucker. He really was.
Yeah.
He also is a big fucker.
And so San Martino hits him, and Muta bumps to the floor, so he's out. And then Gary Hart tries to get in the ring, and Ole Anderson attacks him. And in the middle of that, Gary Hart's towel that he's holding flails in the air. And then Ole Anderson's like, he threw the towel in. Look at that. He threw that shit in. And Bruno's like, yeah, I guess. And that's the end of the match.
I actually predicted this finish.
Oh, really?
My prediction was that somebody was going to, because you can't have either of them throw the towel when you say they promise they're not going to throw the towel. You can, but you know, right. I was like, somebody's going to hit one of the managers, and the manager's hand's going to go, whoa, and it's going to put the towel in. Yeah. This is going to be a whoopsie.
That's the only way you get around a designated Terminator. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're not a Terminator at that point.
Yeah, and so the baby faces win, and it's sort of like I don't know, as to borrow a phrase from you, if I may, it is a sort of flaccid finish.
It was a bit flaccid. It really was. It was especially. I mean, it was just flaccidity all around, except for the fact that we had Terry Funk, the Great Muta, Ric Flair, and Sting in the ring, so it like can't be like boring, you know. And they made it crazy, but like the Thunderdome cage was a big fucking nothing burger, you know.
Yeah. That's again the thing is like the NWA, whatever it's selling, its main points, which is like we have the best wrestling, we have guys that seem crazy, we have guys that seem like they mean what they say. We're the best. Like nobody can touch us on this. And then whenever they start to get into like, oh, it's the Thunderdome Cage of Doom shit, you just can't deliver. Even if you were the best, like what you're attempting to deliver is someone is electrified to death. And it's just not going to happen.
This is the WCW-ification of the NWA. This is the WCW so tainted the NWA in my eyes, like just because of like this is the beginning. It seems to be. I could be completely off, but this seems to be the beginning of WCW, like WCW kind of becoming eventually what WCW was, which is not terrible, but it just wasn't the NWA. They were like modernizing the NWA in a way that they really like. I'm not saying I would have rather Vince had the had the NWA title at WWF. You know what I mean? But like,
right. Well, and it's the thing where like scaffold matches also suck.
Yeah, that is true. That's fair.
What you're selling is somebody's going to get thrown off this goddamn scaffold and possibly die. I get to see Bobby Eaton possibly die for whatever sins I've accounted him for against the Rock and Roll Express, right?
Yeah.
And then you watch it and it's like two dudes crawling at the top of it because, oh, two dudes really don't want to fall off a scaffold because there's no way to fake that.
Yeah.
And
Jimmy falls. And when Jimmy falls, he falls fast.
He falls fast. And I think it also has to do with like whenever you ran those things in the territories, because like electrified cage, ironically enough, this is not the first time people have done this sort of thing. That was like a gimmick in certain territories.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
But only the people in that crowd saw it, and if it stank, it didn't stink to a large pay-per-view buying audience. It stank to the 1,000 people that were in that building that day. And then next week you come up with some other crazy shit and you win them back. But there's no permanent record of the stinctitude of the Thunderdome cage, And now you're trying to take those concepts and you're putting them on modern pay-per-view where everybody can see through the gimmick.
And it's
that's where there's a problem.
We talked about it earlier. We have Great Muta, Sting, Flair, and Terry Funk. You don't need an electrified cage for these guys. Like,
right.
Do that for Doom.
Right. Well, even a regular cage, I don't need the cage to be electrified. A cage match is crazy enough.
Cool as it goes,
Yeah. It was also probably because it was a Halloween Havoc.
No, you gotta do something, yeah. Is our next? Do these guys wrestle again? All four of them?
Not all four of them. This is it for as far as like a tag team.
So they go back to Funk versus Flair.
Funk versus Flair, yeah, and then they were hyping up Starrcade tonight, and we have a show before Starrcade. We're gonna watch the Clash of Champions with Flair and Funk.
Okay,
and then but Starrcade is where they drop the ball. They had it, and they do a thing at Starrcade that's like the worst thing they could do.
Man, how many? That just sounds like a Starrcade-ass thing to do, right?
Sometimes that's a Starrcade-ass thing to do. I mean, the next year, 2 years later at Halloween Havoc, they do a match that's called the Chamber of Horrors.
Fuck yeah,
dude. It's a cage.
There's no way that sucks.
Well, I actually want to watch it for worst gimmick matches of all time. This thing that I've been trying to put together. But they electrocute, quote unquote, Abdul the Butcher in a electric chair in this match. And again, it's like that idea stinks, but if it stinks at like your local county fair, you're not ruining your entire pay-per-view audience by doing that.
Yeah.
And now you are. And like this match doesn't have a definitive end for for obvious reasons, because you want to go back to Funk and Flair and Muta and Sting. But it's like, you said this pay-per-view would settle the score. There's like,
it's literally the name of the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's wholly unsettled.
They could have just called it electrifying. That could have been the tagline.
That's truly electric, or just call it Thunderdome. Like,
that is true.
You know, probably didn't want to get in trouble with the Mad Max people. You know.
And by the way, that is why they put. I actually wrote that down on my in my notes. Is the stupid horseshit things in the corner that caught on fire? Yeah. It's totally Mad Max. So they were trying to Mad Maxify the whole shit, and they ended up just I don't know,
stinkifying.
You know? I wish I had a better one, but that works.
Yeah. This.
By the way, you see my little kitty right here?
Yeah.
Look at him. He's sleeping behind me. You guys can't see it. Just picture the cutest sleeping baby of cat you've ever seen.
175,000 buys, which is up from the Great American Bash, which did 140. So like they're in the right direction. They have a couple of red hot feuds. Also, I imagine Thunderdome Electrified Cage is doing some buy rate.
Well, and the first Halloween Havoc, like, you know what I mean? Like,
and cool name. Halloween Havoc.
Halloween Havoc is a cool name for sure.
Yeah. So, what did you think? Like this one falls below Great American Bash for me because they go back a little bit to the some of the guys I don't really care to see, and like these longer matchups that are
too many, too long.
Yeah,
too many, too long. Too many matches, too long of them. Then you know what I mean? Like, let's get rid of Tommy Rich versus Cuban Assassin. If you got to do the Z-Man versus Mike Rotunda, take at least 9 minutes off of that match. Make it like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then that's already a way better pay-per-view, right? Doom and the Steiner brothers, if you're not gonna have a better match, let's make it a little shorter, huh? Yeah. Lex Luger versus Pillman, I think that's fine. It was 16 minutes.
It's for a singles title. You're trying to build Pillman up, you know.
Totally. You can keep that at 16 minutes. Road Warriors versus Skyscrapers, 11 minutes, maybe 9 or 8, but it's not too bad. You know what I mean? Wasn't a great match. Freebirds and the Dudes, it was for tag team champions. So you
right about where it should be at.
Yeah. So like you can eliminate a match and make all the rest of them, almost all of them, make them shorter. You know, like the Thunderdome match was 23 minutes long, you know, like
it's and they ran out of ideas.
Yeah.
Like clearly they ran out of stuff to do.
They were just trying to make it crazy as they went.
Kind of. And so like you cut a couple minutes off of that. I don't blame them because I bet that they had more like effects or electricity based things to do and they couldn't do them, which I'm glad they couldn't do them because it would make it worse. But then you had to sort of improv some of the shit you were trying to do.
It would make it worse, but we were promised a Thunderdome electricity match. I was not delivered a Thunderdome electricity match.
All right. So for our pop culture this week, our number one movie is a movie that I'm going to guess you've seen. It is Look Who's Talking.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Christy Alley, and it's got Bruce Willis as a baby and John Travolta.
I don't think I've seen it.
Okay. It was very popular whenever I was a kid. This movie was on TV all the time.
Man, Kirstie Alley ruled the world, didn't she, for a little bit?
It's a baby, but the baby talks like a grown-up. Hilarious.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. It was number one for 5 weeks in 1989.
I might have seen it. I might have seen that. That sounds really familiar, but I mean, who cares, right?
Yeah, if you haven't, I would be amazed. But it, like, when I'm talking a hit, the budget for this movie is $7.5 million. It made almost $300 million.
Jesus Christ. There's probably
297.
It's probably one of those, like, did you see the technology that they used to make the baby look like he's fucking talking, you know?
No, it's all in his head. It's like internal monologue for the baby.
Oh, Jesus Christ, because they didn't have the technology.
Yeah.
It does have Abe Vigoda, though, and that always gets my money.
Yeah. The lady who directed this movie, named Amy Heckerling.
Oh, it's a lady director? I probably never saw it. I'm just kidding.
But she directed Fast Times at Ridgemont High, National Lampoon European Vacation, Look Who's Talking, and personal favorite of mine, Clueless. So
good for her.
Yeah. all-time legend. She also was a producer on The Night at the Roxbury, which,
had its moments.
yeah. Oh, and she directed Johnny Dangerously, which is a very underrated Michael Keaton comedy from the 80s where he like accidentally joins the mob and like doesn't know. He either doesn't know he's in the mob or he's like playing it up for this lady. And
right.
It's like a spoof. It's good. There are 2 Look Who's Talking sequels. There is Look Who's Talking 2, which came out in 1990.
Look Who's Talking.
Well, yeah, it's Look Who's Talking TOO.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because there's a girl baby now who is voiced by Roseanne Barr. Because they have another
fucking Christ.
They have another baby.
Is number 3 Fran Drescher?
Well, I will let you know. The Look Who's Talking 2 bombed. Real bad. It and its reviews were it made $10 million against a $22 million budget. And it's stiff competition. Oh no, that's Look Who's Talking. That's the third one. Never mind. Look Who's Talking 2. Roger Ebert gave it 1 star and said it looks like it was chucked up by an automatic screenwriting machine. And Gene Siskel gave it 0 stars and called it an abysmal, embarrassing sequel. So
fuck yeah, dude.
No love. And we thought perhaps we had seen the last, but they went, no. We're going back to the well. America had spoken, but apparently they thought that they could get it back. Look, there is also Look Who's Talking Now, which has dogs. Now the dogs.
Dogs. The dogs talk.
It's the kids and the dogs. The dogs are voiced by Diane Keaton and Danny DeVito.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I like Danny DeVito. And Diane Keaton's fine, I guess, right?
Yeah. The Leonard Maltin, noted critic, said the first one was cute, the second one was dreadful. This third entry in the series falls somewhere in between. So,
hey, he thought it was better than the second one.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. I got them all mixed up. Look Who's Talking Now is where Gene Siskel said it's abominable. It's abysmal.
Okay.
But and it only made $10 million against a $22 million budget. So they were like, all right, no more Look Who's Talking.
Let's stop making these.
Yeah. But somebody was trying to reboot it in 2009, and that apparently never went anywhere.
Christ.
Like, dude, there's only Marvel movies and remakes of stuff from the 80s.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. So, and now, talking baby movie, I bet they could make the baby look like it's talking. Which
they could.
That's
Still
the new.
Still don't fucking care.
Yeah, that's the new sell. Don't be upset at the talking movies. I'm sorry. No, in 2019.
Listen, we can get off the Look Who's Talking topic.
Nope. I'm doing them all, dude. 2019, not 2009, and even
man,
newer,
you're struggling with your.
I know. I don't know what happened.
You know what? Actually, none of these movies existed. It's a fever dream.
Yeah. Number 1 album, Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation, 1814. I don't know why it's got the 1814 at the end. I only know the song Rhythm Nation, but that's a pretty good song. So
I only know it because Mickey Avalon mentions it in one of his songs. Jane Fonda, like Janet Jackson in the Rhythm Nation.
Yeah. 6 times platinum, number 1 for 4 weeks. Good for Janet.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Good for
her. Janet Jackson also had the number 1 song, Miss You Much. It was number 1 for 4 weeks. I don't know anything about that.
Me neither.
Yeah. So we've got pop culture movies that I screwed up and music that I don't know anything about. So, and 1989's looking real good for me.
Yeah, I don't know shit about 1989. I was not born yet.
Yeah. Movie Clueless is good though. Could talk a lot about Clueless if I wanted to.
That wasn't 1989 though, right?
No, the lady who directed Look Who's Talking, directed Clueless. So
that's how far we have to go to talk about something we care about.
Yeah, well, something I even know about, let alone care about. So, the next entry in the 1989 series will be Clash of Champions, New York knockout. I know I said that was what it was going to be last week, but my struggles continued because chronologically Halloween Havoc happened before that show.
Oh, he's on the struggle dust.
Yeah, it's been rough all over. Looking for a house, dude, it's a pain in the ass.
And they're all over the place. They're easy to find.
Yeah, they cost.
Look out your window, you can find a house.
Yeah, they cost so much money.
Yeah,
it's like it is the most like concerning investment that I'm ever going to try to make, because I'm like, fuck, what if I have to keep paying for this thing for
30 years.
Long, 30 years probably, yeah. And like, what if I fuck up the one I pick and then it's terrible? So
yeah, you probably will. It'll probably suck.
yeah, that's why I got Sarah. She'll pick the house.
Just live in a trash can.
The Snart Marks wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and we will be back next week. Andrew dropped the socials. If Twitter's still around, then we'll be on there. So
it'll be fine.
Everything will be fine.
I don't like what Elon's doing. Like, I don't like any of that shit. Like, the just completely ruining the verification process currently is really stupid, and he's kind of being a dick to all of his employees and stuff. I get it. Twitter's probably gonna be fine. I bet it will
be. All of that is an overreaction. I mean, not an overreaction, the way he's treating the workers, but the idea that it's like gonna die or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it will continue to exist in some form.
Yeah,
that's probably worse than the form.
Yeah, whether or not that form's gonna be better, who knows? But it's not gonna fucking just disappear off the face of the planet. It'd be weird if it did, because like a lot of people would fall apart. But
like MySpace still exists in the way that things exist.
Yeah.
Like, it's a ghost town, but it's like still there. So if they can still do it, like, Twitter's not going anywhere. It'll just stink worse than it did before, when it already stank. Like,
yeah,
So anyway, we're on there. We're going down with the ship. As Andrew said, it won't be violins. It'll be Bad Street USA playing.
Mm-hmm.
We're there till the bitter end. So thank
100%.
you for listening. And we'll be back next week, because kayfabe may be dead, but the Snart Marks are alive, bringing more wrestling to you.
Chicka chicka.